One of the greatest barriers to growth is overcomplicating this business. And when you think about it, simplification is everything if you really want to scale. Now, if you think about simplification, you've got to be able to explain to people in just a couple of words exactly what you want to do. Now, one of the very simple strategies that we've had in our business is keep Josh talking, and everything that's not me talking, someone else actually has to do on the inside of the team. Now, the strategy nails it because people are very, very clear about where my areas of responsibility are and what they need to do in the business to make sure it really runs. Now, if you think a little about what you're doing on the inside of your business, Keep Josh Listing, that's another great example that KJL might actually be your initials, and under 3 letters, you can actually explain what it is that you do on the inside of the team. Now, when you start thinking about really keeping a business nice and simple, there's only 3 buckets that we tend to work in. The first conversation is, what do we actually do to go to generate our leads? Now, for a business to be truly great, it needs documentation. Let's review every single listing that you won over the course of the last 12 months. And I want you to answer 2 very simple questions. How did I meet the seller? And what did I do to bring them to market? Why this is such a critical thing to do is that you're going to allow yourself to cut wastage. You need to edit and remove the things that no longer serve you well. There's no point doing a ton of market reports and making all those other things happen if they actually don't generate your leads. If they do generate your leads, double down and do more of it. But what's important is to understand the relationship between all the activities that you're doing and what's actually landing results. The second conversation is, what are we doing to actually make sure that we win the listing? And not only win the listing, but make it easy for the customer to pay more and actually get an increase in your average fee. This could be a very simple document, a 1-pager on the 3 reasons why someone would make the decision to use you. It might also be that you present your fee in 2 different ways. That you've got basic and basic plus, that you're in a position here that you have a slightly higher fee, a slightly lower fee, that you're actually presenting a fee with 2 decimal points. Why this stuff is so critically important is that if you allow the customer to make a choice, they're less likely to then actually go and negotiate. The third component is to then think about what we actually do to sell the existing listings that we've got. This is a real conversation around our sales management process. That might be, for example, that you have a really clear and simple setup to sell meeting and a weekly vendor meeting for 15 minutes or less via Zoom with a very clearly structured agenda. The reason why this stuff is so critically important to get right, particularly in the current market dynamics, is that we need to be making sure our vendors are fully informed of new listings that are coming to market that are now competing for the same buyer pool, of sales that have actually happened in that particular marketplace that have now stolen a buyer who will not be competing for their home, and then the third component about all of those properties that have actually had a price reduction over the course of the last 7 days. If you don't inform your seller about new properties to market, what's been sold and what's actually had a reduction in price, then how will they know what to do in terms of being dynamic to ultimately getting their property sold? One of the new measurements that I really love, that a number of our agents have adopted, is the measurement of the number of days since price reduction until we actually get a sale. Now, this is a really important conversation because if you can walk in front of a seller and say, guys, I've got to show you on the last 5 properties that have had a price reduction, they've all sold within 6 days of that occurring. Now, if that's actually the case, you're more likely to actually go and get more price reductions from more of your sellers more often. Now, that's not going to happen by chance. That's going to happen because you're very strategic about what you do the moment that you actually get a price change. So outside of the legislative compliance components of updating agency agreements and updating pricing on all of your marketing, it is important to think about finding a new buyer pool, about going back to all of the existing buyers, about actually chasing previous market appraisals in the price range before and getting them to step up to actually be a buyer. This stuff really matters. Now, if I walk into your business, have you got like a 1-pager, a 2-pager, a 3-pager, some sort of simple document that clearly explains your strategy on what you do to actually generate the leads, to actually win the listings, and then actually get them sold? The simpler that you make this business, the quicker that the business spins, the more that you can actually get people to speed on the inside of your team, and the quicker that you can go to scale.